What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this is a video I've been waiting for. Hopefully the video I've been waiting for. We'll see how it ends, see how it turns out at the end, and hopefully the video some of you guys have been waiting for. I finally got everything set up so that way I can slap the turbo on the Miata. So I just literally about an hour ago finished installing the ECU, got the car running on the new ECU because I wanted to get it going on that before I tried slapping the turbo on, just in case, you know, things happen. But it's going on it. I got the AC fixed again because the compressor that I put on it was leaking, so we'll see if this one's any better. But yeah, I'm just finishing letting the car cool down right now. It's been sitting for about an hour. I went and edited that video, and I also got my parts back from Ceramic Coat, or from Cerakote. Check it out, it looks pretty sick. So I already went ahead and bolted it all up, got all my bolts Loctited with blue Loctite, gaskets on here and everything, so really all that's left is bolt this all up. I even wired in my gauges and stuff. My AFR is all ready to go. Just got to screw the sensor into the bung on the downpipe, get it plugged in here. I've already got my harness adapter right here, so that's for my AFR. So literally, if everything goes smoothly, which I think I'm being overconfident in stepping on my ECU cover, then I just got to bolt this all up and make sure there's no coolant leaks, no oil leaks, and we got a turbo. So yeah, like I said, I just got the ECU installed. So I already got the interior halfway ripped apart. I'm gonna have to move that boost gauge because it's in a good spot. It's just that where it is, because the gauge itself is kind of back from the front plastic of it, I can't see the first half of numbers, which is the numbers that are gonna be the most important to me. So I'm gonna have to move that somewhere else, or maybe switch it with the AFR. And then I also got a water temp gauge coming because these Miatas have really crappy water temp gauges on the dash. So gonna deal with that. So something that I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna end up taking the bumper off, taking the fender off, so that way I can get my piping in there, because I can't do it with all this in the way. Now I have to take out my airbox and all that, even though I just got done putting it back in because I was running into issues. I already have my variable TPS sensor hooked up now. I'm gonna have to extend the wire for my intake air temp sensor because it'll be over there. This plug only goes so far, so the harness that I have with it, I'll extend it. It's only 2 wires anyway, it's pretty simple. But yeah, let's get to work. It's kind of looking like we might get some monsoon rain. It's been looking like this all day, but sprinkled a little bit earlier, so we'll see. Progress check. We got the front bumper, the fender off, so I got the turbo halfway bolted up, partway. I got it held on with 2 bolts because I was checking clearance. So the only thing that might be of a concern is this brace is like basically touching the frame rail corner right there, so we'll have to see how much that rocks into that. Yeah, I might have to cut that right where it is and angle it in and bend it, or just trim out the frame rail just a hair right there, which I don't really want to do because it's just a little brace. But we'll see how much it vibrates. Yeah, I'm not too sure because I have to attach a brace to the block anyway, but that's for probably either later this evening or tomorrow. So now I'm going to be working on getting the intercooler piping done up, and then I can get my intake air temp sensor added in. So let's go. That's not what I was expecting to happen. It is what it is. I gotta add distilled water in here anyway. I'm gonna try and run a 70-30 mix so that way it uses the water's cooling efficiency to help keep the cooling system cooler anyway. So whatever, I'll just let it bubble until it decides to stop bubbling, so I can put my water lines on. So would you guys believe me if I told you I spent 3 hours trying to get my oil drain line on? Because I did. Spent pretty much 3 hours last night, and I finally got it. But just, it's super tight fit. I don't even know how well you can see it. It's way up there. Can't even see it. Right there. Super high up in there. Tucked up. Had no room. So I pretty much was having to reach my hand up here and then reach my other hand through here and straddle it. And then it just, yeah, it's tight fit. And I ended up having to put it between the lower radiator hose and the power steering hose. And then, yeah, and then I almost got it. Then I found I had it too long, so I had to shorten it and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that sucked. I mean, it went on pretty easy after I shortened it, because I was able to get the actual fitting at the angle that I needed it to do to fit between everything. But still, that was terrible. So this is where we are so far though. Pretty much the whole right side is done. Got my water lines done. I just got to tie them out of the way so it's not rubbing the serpentine belt here or here. I'm going to just tie that up. I think I'm going to loosen my power steering line and bolt it back up right here where it's supposed to be. I moved it because I was going to put my stock fan back on, but I'm going to come back to that. It only takes 2 minutes to loosen that anyway. But yeah, so just tie the lines up a little bit. I have to go to the store and get some hose to attach the valve cover to right here. Oil line is hooked up, the feed line, all that. I have to hook up my downpipe, the rest of it. I am gonna heat wrap this, or reflective wrap this stuff, just to add some color, and so that way, you know, cooler temps. And then I have to just finish basically plumbing up this side of the piping, which is already done. I mean, there's half of it. I just gotta actually hook it up. Pretty much just finish the piping, and then all that's left after that is I need to get a new PCV valve, one for a 323 GTX. But other than that, I think once everything's plumbed up, I can pretty much just add some water, because I'm gonna have to add some water, and then I can prime the turbo and probably fire it up. My buddy Donnie is on the way right now, though. I'm gonna be changing out some shocks on his car. A few of you guys that are OG watchers might remember Donnie. I'll throw him in here for a quick second once he gets here, just to have him say hi. But yeah, I think we can fire this thing up today. Alright, got Donnie's freaking struts all put in. Got him from front sway bar end links because his were trashed. And like I said, a few of you OG watchers might recognize Dolan.
Hello, OG watchers. Thanks for sticking around. How you been? You been drinking enough water? Have you been all right in your head?
But yeah, so we're just finishing up here, getting these hubcaps put back on, and gonna go take it for a test spin, go get some lunch, and then I'll come back and keep working on this hog of a Miata, as it looks all kind of ugly without the front bumper and stuff on it. This thing does look kind of nasty. Makes for a good thumbnail though. I'm gonna bestow upon him a special version of this sticker. This is like a glittery style one. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can definitely notice it in person. You guys can get your stickers at ChrisSadowski.bigcartel.com. You guys, come on, help support the channel. You know what to do.
You son of a bitch, that's exactly what I was gonna ask for. How dare you?
Alright, back here with the Miata. So Donnie went home, had some lunch. I'm gonna go ahead and get the front end jacked up so that way I can finish getting the rest of the intercooler piping and stuff plugged up. Got the intercooler piping all bolted up. The only thing that might be of concern is a blow-off valve. So I might cut, re-weld, and angle this pipe just a little bit more, but I think what I'm gonna do is just zip tie the pipe back a little bit like that. It's not touching the pulley there, but you know, I just want to be more safe than sorry and just pull it taut away from it. And right now I'm making a little bracket or a little piece of metal to bolt right here where the tensioner is, so that way I can hold the hose back. Just a piece of flat metal. Just drilling this piece bigger so that way it'll hold the hose back, so I don't have to worry about the braided steel hose hitting my serpentine belt. Just like that. That way the hose can't come forward. One thing I'm concerned about is maybe the hose going that way, so I might just throw a zip tie through right here just to hold it, you know, like that, so it can't fall anywhere. So I think all I have to do now is extend my intake air temp sensor wires, and then just go get a hose for here to the valve cover, and then from the idler control valve down to the fitting down there, and that should, oh, and then run the vacuum line for the boost gauge and for the blow off valve. But I think we're pretty much there, dudes. I'm so mad, I only have to extend the stupid IATU sensor wires like really only like an inch, but I'm gonna do 3 inches to give me some slack for engine movement. But I don't have the right size heat shrink, so I have to run to O'Reilly's, get some heat shrink, and get some hose for the valve cover and stuff. So let's run down there real quick. Got a bunch of hose and stuff, and then I got some NGK BKR 6E or 6 heat range spark plugs, and yeah, and some heat shrink. Got this hose put on, trimmed to fit, clamped down, so that's all good. At the moment, I am extending this harness. Already got the one piece attached. Working on connecting the second piece and, you know, heat shrinking it. Then I'm gonna wrap this in loom so that way it's safe from the heat, and slap this bad boy in again. There's our harness all loomed up. Let's slap this in really quick, and then I'll just kind of zip tie it along the side of here, and then tie it a few spots up here and plug it in right there. It's a slight issue getting the hose to go from the idler control valve down to my fitting down there. The hose is kinking. I can't figure out how to rotate this thing. I don't even think that you can. So I found a piece of a jack handle that I don't use anymore, and it's just a little tight on the hoses, but I'm gonna basically just slap it in the bottom of the stock idler control valve hose and some of this bigger hose, and then wrap that bottom fitting in a butt ton of electrical tape, so that way it's thick enough to get a clamp on this. And kind of ghetto, but just like that. And kind of hard to see, but you can see it's wrapped in electrical tape. Since all it's doing is moving air, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. So I zip tied the charge pipe a little bit back. I zip tied it down there by the AC line, and then I even took a piece of hose and cut it so the lines weren't rubbing. So now that that's good, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my wideband, and then I'm gonna go, and after that all I have to do is run the I apologize for not filming a lot of this work. I'm just so anxious to get this done and get this started. So I got the gauges all wired in. I got the boost gauge hooked up. I got the AFR hooked up. There's too much wiring under my dash. I didn't want to have even more. So for the AFR extra wire, I just kind of tucked it down here by my harness, zip tied it out of the way. So right now I just made a larger heat shield. I just added onto it. I'm gonna put some gold tape on it too. But other than this, vacuum line for the blow-off valve, I think we should be good. It's the time, so I'm gonna go grab my laptop. I just topped it off with some distilled water, got some in there already. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything should be hooked up now. O2 is hooked up, blah blah blah. Oil lines are good, water lines are tied out of the way and should be good. Can't think of really anything else. So oh shoot, vacuum line right there. Yeah, grab a tea really quick. But other than that, I'm gonna go grab my laptop quick, change the values for the IAT, and then I should be good to go. Alright, blow-off valve is hooked up. I teed it off with the boost gauge. I think that's okay. I don't really remember. Only other spot to do it was my fuel pressure regulator, which is how I think I have it on the Del Sol, but whatever. I'm gonna go get this thing. I got my computer out here. I'm gonna hook it up really quick and let's change the sensor value. Alright, let's open up Tuner Studio. Let this load up. Alright, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. So I think I have to go to tools, calibrate pressure sensors. No, not that one. I know it's in tools. Tools, temperature sensors, coolant temp sensor, that's a stock one. Air temp sensor. So we're gonna go select GM and right to controller. So I went under calibrate AFR sensor, and there's actually a sensor setting for AEM linear AEM 30-42XX. So I chose that one and I wrote that to the controller because I messaged Speedy and they said that should be the closest to the right one. So I'm going to try that one, kind of just see what happens, and I'll let my tuner know when I take it to the dyno that that's what I did. And I will bring my sheet with me here that has all the values and the voltage and stuff to try and correct it if it needs to be corrected, but just to get the car fired up so that way I can, you know, do what I'm trying to do. I'm going to select the AEM linear one and I'll write that to the controller. Alright, so we're going to close that out now, and it should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle power. So we're going to key off, and then we'll unplug it for safe measures. Okay, offline. Plug that back in. It beeps, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the fuel pump relay, crank the motor over, get some oil primed up, and then we'll try and fire this thing up. I ended up just typing in the values for it because it had 0.1 of 1 volt, and then I typed that in, 0.2, 4 volts, and I typed in its value. So I'm going to try that, see how that does. But we're ready. I forgot that I had to ground out the brown wire off the wideband gauge, so I just did that. I'm going to pull the fuse. Let's get this primed up. Should be this big relay right here. Okay, so that should be our fuel pump relay. I'm gonna just hold on to that. Now let's try and crank it a bit, see what happens. So ECU is not registering now. Was I not supposed to do that? So unhooking that fuel pump relay, for whatever reason didn't let the ECU register, because I think it was completing the circuit. Yeah, so we're good now. So I just unhooked all 4 injector clips, and now we'll just try and prime it. Okay, should be good. It's got about 30 pounds of pressure. So check for some leaks. Drain, feed. Feed down there looks dry so far. So I guess give it the beans, plug the injectors in, try and start it. Alright, well here we go. See what it does. Okay. For a few minutes, check for some leaks, but as of this moment, we got a turbo Miata. I'll tell you guys what, that Cerakote burning off really stinks. I don't even know what to explain it as, it just stinks. And it's smoking, which is to be expected, but it stinks. Alright, all that Cerakote stuff is, all the fumes have burned off, gone away. So yeah, definitely just a few things to change, you know. Upgrade the cooling system, make some ducting, get the coolant reroute. This is still burping. I just lowered the rear end down so the nose was higher, but I gotta put some heat sleeving on this hose right here, plug up the catch can that I got from a subscriber, and then, yeah, tune. And I am definitely going to be bolting up that dual center exit exhaust that I built that was too loud without the turbo. So hopefully it sounds good with the turbo on here. But oh, I'm so excited. Working AC, because I got the AC on right now. That's why the idle is a bit low. Well, it's idling where it should be. But yeah, AC is working. It's nice and cold. So far, no more leaks. We got the turbo going. We got power steering. I am stoked. As long as I can get this thing tuned and as long as it doesn't start overheating on me from heat soak and just that Arizona summer, man, I'm gonna be one happy camper. All that's left for me to do now is just kind of modify my ECU tray to mount this ECU, since it's a little bit smaller and thicker than the stock one, and then put the front end back together and try and get this idle to come down a little bit. They kind of explained to me mess with the VE tables a little bit. I got to do a little bit of research, figure out how to do that, adjust the base idle, because I want to have it more drivable so I can take it to the dyno, because right now it's kind of all over the place. But to start, we're getting somewhere. This thing is it's gonna be cool. I'm so happy, guys, so stoked.